The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
Please become a David Pakman Show member. You'll get the commercial-free podcast, audio, and video of the bonus show, as well as 1-hour commercial-free television episodes for members only. And yesterday we hosted the first members video conference roundtable, where members, after the show, members are able to call in, ask us questions. We were all hanging out. I think it's going to become a regular thing, Louis. I think it went well.
It did. Once I worked out the intricacies of the program.
Of the technical system.
Yes.
So be a part of all that, davidpakman.com/membership. It's our #1 funding source. VietJetAir, which is a Vietnamese airline, got fined for an in-flight bikini show. This is a little bit unusual, especially when you're used to the seriousness of American airline demeanor. Everything's taken very, very seriously. Let's take a look at a little bit of the video, and then it's actually interesting. The fine came for a reason that seems kind of benign. Let's take a look at it. So there's apparently a flight at 8:10, and there's women in bikinis walking through the plane, and people are photographing it and filming it, and it's all very, very exciting. Okay, so it basically just goes on like that for a while. So why did they get fined? This is actually really pretty funny, Louis. The airline was fined because #1, it was only $1,000. Imagine in the U.S. the idea of a $1,000 fine for something an airline does. I mean,
right.
It's laughable.
Right.
Fined $1,000 because they didn't secure permission for the show, but the specific issue was that there were people with their phones out on the plane. According to Vietnam Net, no safety regulations were actually broken by allowing passengers to film the show because their phones were in airplane mode. So that's the reason for the fine, was actually something related to the phones, not even the fact that there were women in bikinis walking around. Is it good or bad, this kind of ultimate gravity surrounding all things aviation in the U.S. versus how it is in some other countries? I mean, you said when you were flying, I think it was from Sweden to Iceland, it was a very, very different situation than what you're used to flying in the U.S.
Yeah. I find that to be the case with a lot of international flights. Would you agree? I mean, you do plenty of that.
Yeah, but it's mostly on U.S. airlines, so
Yeah.
it's really not that different than, you know, flying from Boston to L.A.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of the airports and security, not always the case that there's a huge difference between the U.S. and other countries, but
do you think we're better served by this ultimate seriousness that there is surrounding American airline travel, looking at crash numbers and looking at the problems that, you know, Aeroflot, the Russian airline, LOT, Polish airline, Nigerian airlines of all different kinds have? Maybe there's something working about American airline safety, even though we hear so much about planes being under-maintained, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to know how to feel about it.
The planes are getting older, and the restrictions on maintenance and hiring practices for companies to carry out maintenance are getting more lax. So honestly, I think it's only a matter of time before we start having major issues.
All right, you've heard it from Louis.